And welcome, sports fans, to today's Sports Roundtable presented by Harry Blackwell Ford and Dodge in Malden. Glad you joined us for our show this morning. And we're well into the basketball season, pretty much at the halfway mark of the season. And we're really getting into some interesting games for the season. We brought some very good games so far this year here on Channel 21 and CMOSportZone.com. And we've got many more to go to bring to you, and really getting into the thick of things here in high school basketball in southeast Missouri. So hopefully you'll join us along the way, and we'll touch on some games that we've done this week, as well as last night, big Bernie-Dexter matchup last night in the Stoddard County. But before that, we want to touch on what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be touching on some big games that took place, also some games to look forward to this coming week. We got some big games, especially girls basketball game this week we're going to talk about that you'll certainly want to look forward to. Also, the Hoops for Hope benefit for Shawn Green taking place this next week. We'll give you the details on that coming up this coming Friday in Bernie. And also talk about the Bootheel Conference and Stoddard County Conference, Stoddard County Activity Association Conference. They got some big games that are looking forward to this next week. Also, the seeding meeting taking place with the Stoddard County tournament. Taking place this weekend, and it's a very good conference this year in the Stoddard County. And we're going to talk about those two conferences, as well as NFL football this weekend. Big playoff weekend for NFL to look forward to, and we'll see how that plays out for this weekend. So we got some state rankings as well to go over for this week. We got quite a few local teams in those rankings for this week. Very exciting for southeast Missouri. So quite a bit to get to for today's roundtable, again presented by Harry Blackwell Ford and Dodge in Malden. Appreciate Harry Blackwell sponsoring our Sports Roundtable show this season. And for your next automobile purchase, be sure to consider Harry Blackwell Ford and Dodge right off Highway 25 in Malden. And now let's take a look at some scores from last night, and a game that we brought to you live last night. Bernie and Dexter. Dexter got the win over Bernie last night, 65-42, and that's not very indicative of how these two teams have faced off the last handful of years. They've been a big rivalry going back many years, and we've had some really nip and tuck games over the last handful of years when Bernie actually had some really good teams in years past. Dexter has competed well with the Bernie Mules over the last few years, and got a comfortable victory over the Mules last night, as the Mules have struggled this year. Got a lot of young kids they're playing up and playing at the varsity level, and Dexter's got a very good senior-laden group, as well as some underclassmen stepping up and playing big for the Bearcats. And we've got some highlights of that game from last night we'll go to. From the Bearcat Event Center last night here early on. A nice drive to the basket by Flowers. Ethan Flowers gets the roll as Dexter pushes an early lead. We see here Gabe Jackson, a nice move down low, pivots, goes up for the score for the Bearcats. And here a nice steal by Jacob Pettigo all alone for the runaway layup there. And here Gabe Jackson again working very well down low for the Bearcats. Here Pettigo looks for Flowers, back to Pettigo for three, knocks it down there in the second half. And here Dalton Hobgood gets a nice three-pointer for the Mules. And here Ethan Flowers answers back with a three of his own midway through the third quarter. Here Nate Dillinger gets a nice drive to the basket for the Mules. He had a good night for the Mules. And now a nice dump down pass to Gabe Jackson there in the fourth. Pretty much putting that away for the Dexter Bearcats with that victory, 65-42. Impressive victory for the Bearcats. And the Bearcats had a nice week earlier Tuesday in a game that we brought to you Tuesday night. Bloomfield and Dexter. Dexter went up to Bloomfield and got a comfortable victory over the Wildcats. 17-point victory for the Bearcats over the Bloomfield Wildcats earlier this week. So it's been a nice week for the Bearcats. And we got to talk to Dexter head coach Josh Dowdy last night after the game, and he had quite a bit of good things to say about his team last night. And we'll take a look at that interview we had with Josh Dowdy. And we're here post-game with Dexter coach Josh Dowdy after the victory over the Bernie Mules. And Josh had a really good Last couple of weeks, you got a victory over Bloomfield earlier in the week and a victory over Bernie here tonight. Pretty good week in the Stoddard County.
Yeah, it's a real good week for us. We came off of a difficult week right after Christmas, had two losses, but we've come back and we responded and played some good basketball this week, and hopefully we can do that moving forward.
Yep, and really impressive victory Tuesday night over Bloomfield, double-digit victory, and another double-digit victory tonight. And Jason Gerald's been out for you guys. He's one of your more consistent players, especially at the point position. And y'all been making it up for a while he's out.
Yeah, it's actually turned down. I mean, I hate to see a kid sidelined, but we want him to play full strength, so we've given him about a week off here, and it's just giving Ryan Mayo a chance to step up. And boy, he's really stepped into that role and given us some quality minutes. In fact, he had 10 points tonight. He had 8 or 9 points against Bloomfield, and that's just going to make us a better basketball team down the stretch.
Yeah, and Gabe Jackson, he's had a really good first half of the year, but it seems like teams have really adjusted to his his success early on. And some other kids have stepped up. In that Bloomfield game, Howell had a great game, and Mayo really stepped up. You've seen other kids step up, so that should bode well for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Gabe early in the season, they knew his number. Now they know his name, and there's a scheme on him. They're doubling down. They're sinking down on him and making other kids make baskets. And like I said, we're having Howell Mayo step up, and it's helping us out. Yeah,
and you're looking pretty good in Stoddard County. Your only loss coming to Woodland, is that right?
Yes, we lost. I believe that's right.
Yeah, it's a
grind.
Only loss in the county, and those top couple teams, Woodland, Advance, you all, Dexter, kind of been beating up on each other. So we'll see what happens for the number one seed in that tournament.
Right. I don't even know if it really matters to be just going to those 4 teams, shake it up, and what to come to play whenever the Stoddard County tournament kicks off. And whoever plays the best, obviously, is going to come out on top. I think all 4 teams are real evenly matched. I really do.
Yeah, it's very competitive in the Stoddard County this year, and it's been exciting to watch. All these teams are really duking it out, and we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But appreciate you spending some time with us.
Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate what you do, buddy.
And I just saw there, Josh Dowdy, very excited about his team this week. I had a rough first week. They opened up with some losses. Lost to, I believe that was Perryville and Woodland. The week right after Christmas, the Christmas tournament. And then opened this week with some very good Stoddard County victories over Bloomfield and Bernie. So Dexter looking really good in that Stoddard County Conference. They have a shot at coming away with that top seed, although I think it's going to be Woodland probably come away with that top seed. Woodland does have a loss to Advance. Advance only has 1 loss in the county. That's to Bloomfield. And, Bloomfield, Advance, and Dexter pretty much all have victories against each other. So I think Woodland probably come away with that top seed. Dexter probably in that 2 seed, and Advance probably at that 3 seed. But you never know how those seeds are going to shake up. But it's going to be a very, very competitive Stoddard County Conference tournament this year, taking place in Dexter at the Bearcat Event Center. And we'll be on hand for the final night to bring you those last 4 games of that Stoddard County Activities Association tournament. But should be a great tournament as it was last year. Really, pretty much we had 4 teams that were going to compete for that county title, and looks like that's going to be the case once again this year. Should be a great tournament to look forward to in that Stoddard County tournament this year. And let's move on to some other games that took place last night. Poplar Bluff gets a win over Twin Rivers, and that was a 68-56 final in favor of the Poplar Bluff Mules. Also from last night, we have Kennett over Notre Dame. Impressive victory for the Kennett Indians, 54-52. The Kennett Indians get a nice SEMO Conference victory last night over the Notre Dame Bulldogs. Also from last night, we have Malden over Bloomfield. Impressive victory for the Green Wave, 56-47. Malden continuing its winning ways as they had a really nice week last week, defeating Caruthersville, South Pemiscot, and New Madrid County Central last week, following up with a victory over Bloomfield last night. And the Bloomfield Wildcats have had a tough stretch since Christmas. They've really struggled to put a good second half together here so far. Suffered a loss to Dexter earlier in the week, and then Malden last night. Led through most of that game with Malden last night, and just come up a bit short in the fourth quarter, which they've struggled in the fourth quarter here in the last month. Pretty much ever since Christmas. In the second half against Dexter, they only scored 11 points, and 5 only coming in the fourth quarter. And last night, looks like they just come up a bit short in the fourth quarter again. So Bloomfield just in a flux right now. They've got so many kids that they can put on the floor. They're playing 9, 10 kids, and probably just coming up with the right 5 to put on the floor at one time. But talented group there in Bloomfield, and I'm sure they'll put it together through the rest of the way. But scary team, certainly with the Bloomfield Wildcats. And you just don't want to be the team that they get it turned around on. It's probably any time, any day, any game, any week now that they're going to get things figured out, turned around to where they can put a full 4 quarters together. And you certainly don't want to be that team once they get that figured out. But dangerous team going forward in the Bloomfield Wildcats, just in a flux right now. I'm sure Jason Carnes and Tyler Trover get it figured out going forward, especially in that Stoddard County Conference. So we'll see what happens going forward. But Malden got a big game this week, which we'll talk about in just a moment with Hayti. But Malden Green Wave looking really good in that Bootheel Conference so far this year. And looking ahead at some other games, Zenith Hornersville gets a win over Risco last night, 74-59. Also, we have Sikeston over Jackson big in the SEMO Conference, 74-44. Sikeston dominating Southeast Missouri, and they got a victory over Carbondale, Illinois earlier this week. I think they had about a 5-point victory, 5 or 6 point victory over Carbondale. And I know last week we talked, had a segment about will Sikeston go undefeated, and I remember at the time I said that Carbondale might be the only game outside of the conference that they could potentially lose, and they cruised in that victory. I wouldn't say cruise, but pulled out that victory over Carbondale earlier this week. And I'll tell you, when it comes to the regular season, I just don't see anyone matching up with Sikeston in the conference. You got a 30-point victory over Jackson, got a big victory last week over Charleston, and if it comes down to possibly. I don't know. I just don't see anyone coming across and knocking off Sikeston at this point in the conference. Maybe Poplar Bluff could give it a shot, but right now I just don't see anyone knocking off Sikeston in that regular season, because I think at this point pretty much it's conference games with a few kind of gimme games on the end of their schedule. So I think they've kind of gone through the toughest part of their schedule, with the exception of maybe Poplar Bluff left on that schedule. It just doesn't seem like there's any feasible, likely way that Sikeston doesn't go undefeated, at least in the regular season this year. So we'll see. They got to finish out their schedule, but right now it looks like we'll see an undefeated regular season from the Sikeston Bulldogs, and they cruise over Jackson last night. And moving on to other games, we have Neelyville over Hawcom, 75-66. Nice victory for the Neelyville Tigers last night. And also we got Cape Central over New Madrid County Central, 78-70. Cape Central getting that victory over New Madrid last night. Also we have Charleston over Scott County Central, 75-56. Nice victory for the Blue Jays last night. Also, moving on, we have Clearwater over Van Buren, 49-40. And also we have Zalma over Oak Ridge, 51-44. And see if we've got another couple of games here. South Iron over Greenville, 63-48. And Marquand over Leopold, 70-42. And those are the games from Southeast Missouri in the area last night. And some big games this week. I know I mentioned the Dexter Bloomfield game earlier this week. Sikeston over Carbondale earlier this week. Also, on the girls' side, Dexter got a nice victory over Neelyville Thursday night, 55-41. The Dexter Lady Bearcats and the Neelyville Lady Tigers, two of the better teams in Southeast Missouri. And it looks like Dexter are looking to put it together a nice season once again this year, and we'll talk about their game coming up this coming week in our next segment. But Dexter Lady Bearcats look pretty good so far this season. And we're going to take a quick break and be back with more coming up.
The Ford Holiday Sales Event going on now at Harry Blackwell Ford, Malden.
Check out these holiday savings on 2016 SE Escapes. as low as $20,148 on the web.
Here you can buy a 2015 Taurus SEL for $25,682.
Save nearly $11,000 on this F-350 Lariat, now only $51,846.
From all of us at Harry Blackwell Ford in Malden, Merry Christmas.
Deposit your check here or here or even there. Deposit your check wherever you are with First Midwest Bank's new mobile deposit. Just tap, snap, deposit. It's that simple. New mobile deposit from First Midwest Bank, serving the communities we call home.
The area's fastest internet just got faster. Introducing 100 meg internet, now available from New Wave. With 100 meg, there's nothing you can't do. Browse better, stream more, power every device. This is lightning fast internet designed to fit your family's needs. It's brand new and it's the fastest game in town. Get 100 meg internet from New Wave, your local provider of the speed you need. Call 1-888-8-NEW-WAVE today.
And welcome back to the Sports Roundtable presented by Harry Blackwell Ford and Dodge in Malden. Now let's take a look at some stories from across the area from this week and going forward, and taking a look at the Stoddard County Activities Association tournament, the seed meeting taking place today, and Dexter hosting that tournament this year as they alternate that between Bloomfield and Dexter hosting the tournament this year. And a seed meeting at 10. I've tried to get some coaches to feed me those seeds as soon as they come in, but might not get those in time to share with you here on the roundtable today. But just talking about that tournament going forward that's taking place in Dexter. It's going to be a competitive top half of the tournament there, with pretty much a four-team top there with Dexter, Woodland, Advance, Bloomfield. And I tell you, some other teams are going to be competitive in that as well. Bernie's got that ability there in that first round. They'll probably be towards the bottom of the bracket there, but they've got some players there. They're going to have a chance to knock somebody off in that tournament. It's a single elimination tournament, so if they come up with a 6 seed, possibly play Bloomfield in that 3 seed where Bloomfield's struggling, they could have a chance there. But, there's some other teams in there that just aren't any pushovers anymore. Bell City, they're not a pushover anymore. They got a nice victory over East Prairie. I think that was a Thursday night game over East Prairie, or the Tuesday or Thursday night. Bell City defeated East Prairie. And, Bell City's an improving team coming along. So, those first-round games aren't just gimmies anymore for those top couple of seeds. And even Richland will probably be the 7 or 8 seed in that tournament. They're struggling, but they're not just that complete walkover as they were a couple years ago. So that Stoddard County Conference will be fun to watch, especially there with Puxico in there, right there in the middle of the pack as well. But those top 4 teams are going to duke it out once again this year. You got Dexter, probably Dexter and Woodland, I think, is going to fight it out for that top seed. But I think Woodland's had some really impressive victories. They've had some injuries dealing with there with Woodland. But they took one loss to Advance, but Advance lost to Bloomfield. So, it's everybody's sharing a loss there between Dexter, Woodland, and Advance. They're pretty much sharing losses there. And, even Bloomfield, Bloomfield, I think they've only got one conference loss as well, if I have that correctly, because Bloomfield defeated Advance. Their only conference loss is to Dexter, if I have that correctly. So you've got 3 teams sharing one loss between each other, but pretty much at that point, I guess you'd take the whole season into account, and I guess how bad that one loss was with the other county opponents. So I think Woodland and Dexter will occupy those top 2 seeds, and then probably Bloomfield and Advance will probably duke it out for that 3rd and 4th seed, and then from there you've got your Puxico, Bell City, Bernie, and Richland. But we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be especially in semifinal night. Semifinal night is going to be great with those 4 teams, potentially those 4 teams matching up against each other, going towards that Stoddard County final in Dexter. So we'll see how that plays out. Should be a good one this year at Dexter at the Bearcat Event Center for that Stoddard County Activities Association tournament. And we're going to bring you the final night of that live right here on Channel 21 and YHCTV.com, SeamoreSportsZone.com. The final 4 games, third place and finals for both JV and varsity in that county tournament. And also taking a look ahead to the Bootheel Conference matchup to look forward to this week. Tuesday night, we've got Malden and Hayti live from Hayti right here on Channel 21. Also, you can watch online, SeamoreSportsZone.com, YHCTV.com. And these Malden Green Wave have been on a roll, and they're looking to go down to Hayti with a big conference matchup, and this could potentially be the top seed. The winner of this could come away with a top seed in the conference, which both of these teams, Malden, I believe, is undefeated in the conference right now, and as far as I know, I think Hayti is undefeated in the conference, if I have that correct, but probably the winner of this will probably foreseeably come away with the top seed at this point. I know there's a lot of conference games left in the season, but this is going to be a big Bootheel Conference matchup Tuesday night. Malden's on a really nice run. They had big conference victories last week over Caruthersville and South Pemiscot. Got a nice victory over Bloomfield last night. Hayti's looking good so far in this second half. Should be a great one from Hayti Tuesday night as we bring that live to you right here on YHC and SeamoreSportsZone.com. Always competitive in that Bootheel Conference, always nip and tuck between pretty much those top 4 teams. Those top 4 teams are tough, just like Stoddard County and the Bootheel Conference this year. You've got Malden and Hayti right there at the top. South Pemiscot, which they've struggled since Christmas, or actually pretty much through the latter half of that Christmas tournament and into this first half. They've struggled a bit, but man, they've got the team right there. They've got everything it takes to come away with the Bootheel Conference championship this year. They've got the guards, they've got the big guys, they've got the defense, just putting it all together at the right time. Very dangerous team in South Pemiscot. Caruthersville's right there in the mix as well, and a team like Zenith Hornersville got off to a good start. They've taken some bumps along the way, but when you got Kyle Moore on your team averaging right around 30 points a game, they're going to be competitive all the way to the end. So it's going to be impressive to see how that Bootheel Conference shapes out going forward, but a big game Tuesday night between Malden and Hayti. We're looking forward to bringing that live to you from Hayti Tuesday night. And taking a look ahead to Dexter girls basketball. They've got a big game coming up Monday night. The Dexter girls face the defending Class 3 state champions, also the top-ranked team in the state in Class 3, Park Hill Central Lady Rebels. And the Dexter Lady Bearcats probably be their toughest game so far this year. Probably up until this point, St. Joseph's Academy, I think it was their first game of the year, took a loss up in, I think it's St. Louis in that game with St. Joseph's. But they've been very impressive since that game, getting some nice victories. The Lady Royals Classic winning that Paragould McDonald's shootout down in Paragould winning that. 2 victories over Neelyville. And looking good so far are the Dexter Lady Bearcats. Got a big matchup Monday night with the Park Hill Central Lady Rebels, defending Class 3 state champs. And we're going to bring that live to you Monday night. That's our first Dexter girls game of the year. And it will be live right here on Channel 21 on YHC TV, as well as online, SeamoreSportsZone.com and YHCTV.com. We'll be looking forward to bringing you that Dexter girls game Monday night from the Bearcat Event Center live right here on YHC. Should be a good one. These teams have matched up over the past couple years. Been some big games, and they actually matched up in the state tournament a couple years ago in the sectional round. Dexter advanced over Park Hill Central in that sectional round a couple years ago, and then since then Park Hill Central went down to Class 3, done well for themselves, won that state title last year, and a big game along the way was Saxony Lutheran. They're in the quarterfinals, and they might match up once again this year, Park Hill Central and Saxony Lutheran. But Park Hill Central's really done well over the last few years in Class 3 and currently ranked number 1 in the state in Class 3. Dexter ranked number 5 in Class 4. So it's rare you get top five rankings, top 5 ranked teams together in the regular season. And we're going to get that Monday night right here on YHC. So look forward to that. Monday night, Dexter versus Park Hills Central. And also looking ahead, the Bernie School District hosting Hoops for Hope for Shawn Green this coming Friday night on the 22nd in the Bernie versus Puxico game. And things getting started around 4 o'clock for that Hoops for Hope benefit and honor for Shawn Green. Shawn Green, an alum of Bernie and a basketball standout. Him and his twin brother Shane, standouts are in the early 90s with the Bernie Mules. And Shawn Green's battling a rare form of brain cancer. He's undergoing numerous treatments, and this is a nice benefit in his honor to help with his fight against that rare form of brain cancer for this Hoops for Hope coming up this coming Friday the 22nd. And we've got some details for you here. Fish fry getting underway at 4 o'clock, 4 until 5:30 in the school cafeteria, and tickets can be purchased for $10, and you can buy those at the door there at the school cafeteria Friday starting at 4. Then they'll have booth available to start a college fund for Shawn and his wife Erin's daughter Avery. The donations will go toward the purchasing of a savings bond that will help with her future college expenses. And also they'll be taking single donations, and you can make those out to Hoops for Hope, and that accounts at Bank of Advance in Dexter. You can stop by the bank and make that donation there at the Bank of Advance. Make those checks payable to Hoops for Hope, and also you can give those to the Bernie basketball coach Brad Botch or Christy Whitehead. Christy Whitehead helping put together that Hoops for Hope this coming Friday, the 22nd, against Puxico, the Bernie versus Puxico game. And the Hoops for Hope sponsored by 18 for Life, great charity here locally, helping those fighting cancer and helping out with some expenses as they battle with their fight with cancer. So 18 for Life behind this, always a great deal when 18 for Life's involved, and done a lot of good things for the local people here and their fights with cancer. So look forward to that this coming Friday, the Bernie versus Puxico game, everything involved with that. So it's a great thing to get involved with, especially for around the Bernie community, helping out Shawn Green with his fight with cancer. And let's take a look at our broadcast schedule going forward. As I mentioned, a couple games we've already going to get to this coming Monday and Tuesday, but this last night's game, Bernie and Dexter, you can watch that replay today, Saturday noon and 6:30, and also Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. You can watch the replay of that. We'll get that uploaded to cmosportzone.com as well, where you can watch that online. So look forward to that replay of Bernie versus Dexter this weekend. And take a look at some other games we got going forward. As I mentioned, that girls game on the 18th, Monday night, Park Hills Central versus Dexter. Then the following night, we got Malden at Hayti in the Bootheel Conference matchup there on the 19th. And then Friday night, we've got Sikeston at Kennett. Sikeston at Kennett in that CMO Conference matchup. Maybe Kennett can knock off the undefeated Bulldogs, but it's going to be a tough chore there Friday night as Sikeston takes on Kennett. And it's good to get the Sikeston Bulldogs here on YHC and cmosportzone.com. Should be a good one from Kennett to see the undefeated Sikeston Bulldogs next Friday night. So look forward to that. Live from Kennett next Friday night. Should be a good one. And I'm going to take a quick break and be back with more coming up.
You just can't do it anymore, but you want to stay in your own home. Bales is the place to call. Bales is committed to helping people like you to maintain your independence and live your life on your terms with dignity. Bales can help with your family getting paid for taking care of you. There is no need to live anywhere but our own home with Bootheel Area Independent Living Services there to help. Just call 888-449-0949 or stop by 719 Tico Road in Kennett to find out more. Bales, Bootheel Area Independent Living Services, serving Dunklin, New Madrid, Pemiscot, and Stoddard counties.
What is your emergency? Need assistance at County Road 61 and Highway There's a better way to jumpstart your soil back to health. Apply Endzone to protect and increase nitrogen efficiency without killing bacteria. Apply Prevent to increase phosphorus availability and reduce fixation. Better yet, use them both to get more from your fertilizer investment and see higher potential yields. Ag Explorer, your prescription for healthy soil.
The competitive edge. It's the edge that sets you apart from your competition. Every business needs it. Now every business can get it. Partner with Advanced Business Solutions and give your business the competitive edge. Advanced Business Solutions, delivered by New Wave, offers scalable fiber optic-based internet solutions to fit your needs. Now you can download without the wait on a network designed for you. Call Advanced Business Solutions and get the competitive edge for as low as $39.99 per month.
And now let's take a look at some state rankings for high school basketball in the state of Missouri, starting out with boys Class 1. Stanberry remaining at number 1 in Class 1. 2, Winston. 3, Walnut Grove. 4, Glasgow. 5, the Advanced Hornets, hanging out in the top 5 of those rankings at number 5. 6, Woodblues. 7, Hardin Central. 8, Novinger. 9, Leeton. And 10, Mercer. And those are Class 1 rankings. Moving up to Class 2. Hartville at number 1. They move up to number 1. Crane, previously at number 1, moves down to number 2. 3, Salisbury. 4, Scott County Central. They're hanging around there in the top 5. Moved down from 3, I believe, in the last poll. Moved down to number 4. 5, Wellington Napoleon. 6, Thayer. 7, Iberia. 8, Mid Buchanan. 9, New Bloomfield. And 10, Vienna. And in Class 3 at number 1, we've got Tolton Catholic, Father Tolton Catholic at number 1. 2, Barstow, the defending Class 3 state champions. They're at number 2. 3, Bowling Green. 4, Fairgrove. 5, Park Hill Central. They moved down from number 3 in the last poll. 6, Hogan Prep. 7, O'Hara. 8, Southern Boone County. 9, Lafayette County. And 10, it's a two-way tie between Clever and Saxony Lutheran. Saxony Lutheran, I think they've only got one loss on the year still so far this year, coming in that Bloomfield Christmas tournament to Kennett. So Saxon Lutheran really put a nice season together so far. They're in Class 3. And in Class 4, the Sikeston Bulldogs move up to number 1 in the state. I think they were at number 3 or number 4 previously, but an undefeated season so far puts them up to number 1 in the state in Class 4. 2, the Vashon Wolverines. They've put together a pretty impressive season as they've been kind of in the basement for the last number of years. Coming back with an impressive team this year at number 2 so far in the state rankings. 3, Lafayette of St. Joseph. 4, Parkway West. 5, Bolivar. 6, Rolla. 7, Jennings. 8, Westminster Academy. 9, Soldan International Studies. And 10, Miller Career Academy. And now looking at Class 5, we got Chaminade at number 1 in Class 5. 2, Kickapoo. 3, Hazelwood Central. 4, Lee Summit. 5, Christian Brothers College. 6, Webster Grove. 7, Nixa. 8, Lee Summit West. 9, Vianney. And 10, Blue Springs. And those are your boys' rankings for the state of Missouri for this week. And take a look at the girls, starting out in the girls Class 1. Mercer at number 1, 2, Prairie Home, 3, Mound City, 4, Jefferson, 5, Hermitage, 6, Southwest, 7, Tuscumbia, 8, Norborn, 9, Medville, and 10, Jamestown. And take a look at Class 2. We've got Crane at number 1, 2, Gainesville, 3, Skyline, 4, Crocker, 5, Spokane, 6, North Platte, 7, northeast of Cairo, 8, Fordland, 9, Clopton, and 10, Hartville. And take a look at Class 3. Park Hill Central, the defending Class 3 state champs at number 1. 2, Chillicothe. 3, Lutheran of St. Charles. 4, the Saxon Lutheran Lady Crusaders. 5, Stratford. 6, St. James. 7, Southern Boone. 8, Duchesne. 9, Fair Grove. And 10, St. Pius. And moving up to Class 4, number 1, Mary Institute of Country Day Schools moves up to number 1 in the state. I think they were previously at number 3. Carl Junction stays at number 2. 3, Benton. 4, Incarnate Word. I believe the 3-time defending state champs, possibly. I might be wrong on that. At least 2-time defending state champs. Moved down from number 1 and moving down to number 4. And 5, the Dexter Lady Bearcats. They're in the top 5 at number 5. 6, St. Francis Borgia. 7, St. Charles. 8, West Plains. 9, Aurora. And 10, Smithville. And taking a look at Class 5, state rankings in Class 5 at number 1, Parkway North. 2, Republic. 3, Kickapoo. 4, Kirkwood. 5, Washington. 6, Hazelwood Central. 7, Liberty. 8, Hickman. 9, Francis Howell. And 10, Branson. And those are your girls' state rankings for Class 5 this week. So, see some quite a few teams there in the state rankings for boys and girls. Going down to Class 1, you got Advance there in Class 1 for the boys. Class 2, Scott County Central there in the mix. I think Class 3, Saxon Lutheran there tied for number 10 in Class 3. Class 4, Sikeston there at number 1. So a good handful of teams from Southeast Missouri representing in that in those state rankings for this week. And in the girls' side, you got there with in the Class 3, you got Park Hill Central and Saxon Lutheran there in the mix in Class 3, Dexter in Class 4. So pretty competitive teams here from Southeast Missouri, and looking good across the state of Missouri so far this year. And now we're going to take another break and be back with the NFL playoff matchups taking place this weekend, and we'll close it up with that coming up.
Welcome to NFL Total Access,
the show that takes you inside the locker room and down on the field. With inside access to all 32 teams all year long. NFL Total Access, Monday through Saturday, only on NFL Network.
NFL Network, where football season never ends.
NFL Red Zone, the channel that brings you every touchdown from every game on Sunday afternoons. Watch the most exciting moments like never before, live in HD. Every touchdown from every game, live on one channel, NFL Red Zone.
And now let's take a look at the NFL playoffs taking place this weekend. We've got the divisional round this weekend, and on the AFC side, we've got the 5th-seeded Kansas City Chiefs taking on the New England Patriots, the 2nd seed, and that'll be today, Saturday at 3:35 on CBS. Big matchup there. If you can remember back to last year's game, earlier in the season, the Chiefs knocked off the Patriots 41-14 in Kansas City. And that'll be the first time these teams have matched up since that game. Patriots are banged up. They've got Julian Edelman's going to be coming back from a broken foot from earlier in the year. He's going to be back in the mix. Rob Gronkowski having a little bit of a knee issue. He's been pretty much out of the practice for most of the week. Also, Chandler Jones having an episode earlier this week due to some synthetic marijuana. He was a little out of sorts, and I don't know how that's going to play into this game. But the Patriots have really been banged up on their offensive line and just haven't been playing their best ball at all. They lost 4 of their last 6 games of the season, so they're quite hobbled, and the Chiefs are probably the hottest team in the NFL right now, going on 11 straight victories, and got a shutout victory over the Houston Texans last week, 30-0. So, that could be an upset there with the Chiefs over the Patriots, but we'll see. New England, tough place to play. Just hard to get a victory up there, but we'll see this afternoon. 3:35 start on CBS. And the 6th seed Pittsburgh Steelers will be taking on the Denver Broncos, the top seed in the AFC. Big storyline in this one. If you remember the last time these teams matched up in the playoffs, it was 2011. Tim Tebow leading the Broncos to the victory in the divisional there over the Steelers. But the Steelers are banged up. They really had a tough game last week against the Cincinnati Bengals in that wild card round. Antonio Brown, their stud receiver, probably the best receiver in the league this year, he took a concussion from Vontaze Burfict in that game, and he's going to be out. He ruled out with a concussion, and Ben Roethlisberger went out of the game at one point last week due to a shoulder sprain, and he actually come in for the last series to get them in field goal range to win that game. And he's going to play, but he's going to be severely limited due to that shoulder strain. He hasn't thrown the ball all week in practice, and he's basically just saving his arm for whatever he can save for that game against the Broncos Sunday, and that's a Sunday start, afternoon, 3:40 on CBS. That'll be the last game of the weekend there in that AFC divisional between the Steelers and the Broncos. And Peyton Manning returns for the Broncos. Been out for quite a few games, but returned in the second half of the last week of the regular season against the Chargers. Helped them back in that game, and he's starting for the Broncos. And we'll see what happens. He's had some time off, but that means rest as well. Had a torn plantar fascia in his left foot, and he's returned and moving around good. So we'll see how that turns out between the Steelers and the Broncos this weekend. Now on the NFC side, got some big matchups. The Packers at the Cardinals. That's the 5th seed Packers taking on the 2nd seeded Arizona Cardinals, and that's Saturday or tonight start, Saturday night start, 7:15 on NBC, primetime game tonight between the Packers and the Cardinals. The Packers got that victory over the Minnesota Vikings last week in sub-zero temperatures. I think it was a -3 degrees start there in Minnesota, and the Packers were fortunate. Blair Walsh missing that late field goal, and no, I got that. That's the totally wrong game. The Packers defeated the Redskins. Sorry about that. Packers defeated the Redskins on the road in Washington, and got that victory on the road. They take on the Cardinals tonight at 7:15 on NBC. And the Cardinals had a really good season. They just ended it pretty bad with a big loss to the Seattle Seahawks. I believe that was like a 36-6 score against the Seahawks, so it didn't finish the way they wanted, but they're looking good. They're with a home game tonight against the Packers. They match up well, and a very good offense and pretty good defense as well from the Cardinals, led by Carson Palmer, probably the best quarterback in the league this year when it comes to all the metrics. Certainly passing the ball, certainly the best passer this year in the NFL, but probably not the MVP at this point, which that's probably going to be Cam Newton, it looks like at this point, which that's the other NFC divisional. Big game, probably the biggest game of the weekend when it comes to anticipation. Seahawks, the 6th seed, and the 2-time defending NFC champions, going up against the Carolina Panthers on the road. The 15-1 Panthers with likely the MVP Cam Newton at quarterback, and Seahawks. The Seahawks were the team that beat the Minnesota Vikings in sub-zero temperature last week, and -3 degrees start to that game in the NFC divisional. Russell Wilson playing some of his best, he's having the best season of his career, which says a lot. He's been to 2 Super Bowls already and having his best year this year. And the Seahawks are looking good. That offense is playing well. Defense is really playing well as well later in the year. And taking on the Panthers. Panthers had a shot at an undefeated regular season, dropped it in the week 16, I believe, to the Atlanta Falcons. But they will host the Seahawks, and they played earlier in the year at Seattle, and it was a late drive by the Panthers. Touchdown pass to Greg Olsen in the end zone, which put the Panthers up and defeated the Seahawks late in that game, 27-23 score, I believe that was, the Panthers over the Seahawks. Now it goes to Carolina. The Seahawks going to have to go on the road, come up with a big game against the Panthers on the road. That's a Sunday, 12:05 start, noon start there on Fox for Sundays. So it's some big games this weekend. Looking forward to it. This is the best weekend of NFL football. You get these divisional matchups, these 4 matchups across the board. It's going to be fun to watch for this weekend. So, it's a funny thing. Last week, all the road teams won last week in the wild card round, which has never happened before. All road teams won, so we'll see how that plays out this week. But it's been an exciting NFL playoff so far this year, and it's going to be fun to watch, see how it all plays out this weekend. And also big news in the NFL this week, the St. Louis Rams are no more. They have moved back to Los Angeles. The NFL owners approved of the Rams moving to Los Angeles earlier this week, and I believe it was a 30-2 vote. So it was just a great proposal by Stan Kroenke to the NFL owners. He put up a lot of money, going to put up a lot of money in Inglewood, California, right outside of Los Angeles, for probably the nicest NFL stadium and entertainment complex in the league. I know the AT&T Stadium down in Dallas, known as Jerry World there, where the Cowboys play, is pretty much the premier stadium in the NFL, but it looks like it's going to be trumped by this stadium in Los Angeles, or Inglewood there in the Los Angeles area. And it seems like the league is really wanting to put almost everything dealing with the NFL in that complex. They're really wanting to put the NFL Network in that complex. They're going to host the Combine there in that stadium, and just so much of the league and what it does with the NFL Network, and just as a league in itself, is going to be placed in that complex, and it's going to be good for the NFL when it comes to revenue. That's what's driving most of this move from St. Louis to Los Angeles, and the Rams are going to be part of that. And I know a lot of Rams fans are sickened out there, and it is disappointing that the Rams are going to leave St. Louis. And it's nice to have an NFL franchise in St. Louis where you can go up there and see some big time teams throughout the year, and that's just not going to be the case anymore. So it is disappointing, but it's just the reality of the NFL, and it's a big money league, and it's a big money move. This is going to be looked back upon as a big move that the NFL did, moving a franchise back to Los Angeles after 21 years away. The Rams moved back to Los Angeles, and it's going to be a big move for the NFL when it comes to revenue, bringing more revenue to the league. It's going to be looked back upon as probably one of the biggest moves the NFL ever made, bringing a franchise back to Los Angeles, and just what it's going to bring, not just the Rams, but what it's going to do for the league as a whole, what they're going to bring to the marketplace. So it's a big move, and the owners want it. 30-2 vote. I think the Chiefs owner was one of the only other owners to vote against it and wanting to keep a team in St. Louis there with the Rams. But there's still another team that could join the Rams there in Inglewood. The Chargers have the option to join the Rams, and if the Chargers decline, the Oakland Raiders have a chance to join the Rams as well there in Inglewood out of Los Angeles. So it's in the Chargers' court at this point whether they want to join. I know the Chargers and the Raiders put together a proposal to the NFL to have their two teams in Carson, California, another suburb there of Los Angeles, but the owners weren't really buying that one. Not a whole lot of investment in that one, just not as impressive as a proposal as Kroenke's move to Inglewood. So the Chargers have the option. If not, if they bypass, the Raiders have a chance to join the Rams there at Inglewood. So we'll see what happens. And there's been talk this week the Raiders possibly considering a move to San Antonio. I know the Raiders just want to move out of Oakland. They had a bad stadium and just on a year-to-year lease there with Oakland there in that stadium. It looks like the stadium's not going to be built in Oakland, so they're trying to move. They're trying to make a move, and the Edward Jones Dome's open in St. Louis. And might as well consider that as well. But, there was some talks about San Antonio being a landing spot for the Raiders earlier this week. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of news in the NFL this week. The move to Los Angeles from the Rams. And then talk about the NFL playoffs as well. So it's been a big week for the NFL and the media. So we'll see what plays out going forward. And that's pretty much all we got for you today, and we appreciate you for tuning in, as always, to the Sports Roundtable presented by the Harry Blackwell Ford and Dodge dealership in Malden. Be sure to keep them in mind for your next automobile purchase. Harry Blackwell Ford and Dodge in Malden. That'll do it for us today. Andrew Moore brings you the production from the control room. Appreciate him in there. Appreciate you for tuning in, as always. Look forward to seeing you right back here with us next week on another Roundtable. Don't forget about our games this week, Monday night, right here on YHC and SeamoreSportsZone.com. We've got girls basketball, Dexter versus Park Hill Central. Big girls basketball matchup Monday night, 7:30 start. Tuesday night, Malden at Hayti, another 7:30 start. And then Friday night, the 22nd, we've got Sikeston at Kennett. All live right here on YHC Channel 21 and SeamoreSportsZone.com. And we'll see you for those later this week. Take care, everyone.